Medurstand Understanding Medicine.
This is Professor Aziz Rehman from Medurstand-Understanding Medicine. I have issued a detailed video on this topic of optimization of anti-diabetic medication during Ramadan, and you can refer to that video if you want the details. But in this very short video, I'm going to give you the summary. So what is the problem? Because there is prolonged food and water deprivation during Ramadan, and there is change in meal timings, there is change in the meal composition, and there is also change in the circadian rhythm. So all these things can lead to certain risks. And what are the risks? The major risk is that of hypoglycemia. Of course, the fasting is going to be like 15 hours. So there could be fasting, particularly in the afternoon. And there is also a possibility of dehydration because you're not allowed to drink any water also. So there is possibility of dehydration. There is possibility of rebound hyperglycemia after iftari, and then occasionally there is a possibility of ketoacidosis, especially if the patient is critically insulin deficient or patient is on SGLT2 inhibitors. So out of all these, the major risk is that of hypoglycemia. Actually, I think in this brief video, I'm going to cover this part and I'm going to only present the summary slide of my older presentation. So this is the summary slide. There are three types of drugs. These drugs which are going to appear here, they do not need any modification. Of course, if patient is taking them 3 times a day, because the afternoon meal will be missed, the afternoon dose will also be missed, but twice a day, morning dose will be taken with the sahri and night dose will be taken with the iftari with no other modification. And the drugs which appear here, they have high potential of causing hypoglycemia and they should be generally avoided during Ramadan. And the medicines which are going to appear here, they have potential of causing hypoglycemia, but little modification in them, in their dosage or their timing, can avoid that risk of hypoglycemia also. So let me just first expose this one. So metformin, whatever dose patient may be taking, 500 milligrams, 750, 850, 1000 gram XR form or standard form twice a day, patient can continue. Acorbose, this is patient can takes morning, evening. Thiazolidine diones can be continued. DPP4 inhibitors can be continued, and GLP-1 receptor agonists once a day or once a week can also be continued without any change. Of course, one would like to inject during non-fasting state. And short-acting insulin, the insulin aspart, insulin glulicine, insulin lispro, since they have a very short action, they can also be continued the way it was taken before Ramadan at Sahri and Iftari. And these drugs, like old-fashioned glibenclamide, because they stimulate beta cells and they stimulate beta cells rather ruthlessly, they can cause hypoglycemia, particularly in frail people, particularly people who may have background kidney disease. And since its action is very long, so it is generally recommended that glibenclamide should not be given during Ramadan. And glimepiride and gliclazide XR formulation, they can be taken, but preferably they should not be taken with sahri and they should be taken at iftari if patient wants to take. And intermediate acting insulins like NPH again should be avoided at sahri because these NPH insulins, they cause a peak about 8 hours after their injection. So if taken at sahri, they may cause hypoglycemia in the afternoon. So they may be avoided at sahri. So these are the drugs which need little modification. Glimepiride and gliclazide M are given once a day, but preferably at iftari. So rather than taking it in the morning, patient can take it iftari. So if patient is taking in the morning, on the first day of Ramadan, patient will miss at Sahri but will take at Iftari, and onward will take it at Iftari daily. SGLT2 inhibitors can be given once a day, and they are best taken at Iftari because they cause some polyuria and some dehydration is possible. If patient takes at Iftari, patient will be allowed to drink water before the next Sahri. So I think it would be safer to take it at Iftari. Basal insulins should be reduced. Basal insulins like glargine or detamir, so they can be reduced by 20% if usual pre-Ramadan fasting sugar is less than 120. If patients' typical pre-Ramadan fasting sugar values are more than 120, then patient can continue the same dosage. But if patients' pre-Ramadan fasting sugar is less than 120, there should be some reduction by type 20%. Now, for example, if patient was taking 30 units of basal insulin, glargine, for example, you could reduce it by 20%. So instead of 30, patient should take 24. So this is very simple calculation you can make on your calculator app. Pre-mixed insulins like this very popular pre-mixed insulin 70-30 or 30, they are in human insulin formulation and also the insulin analogs. So pre-Ramadan morning dose given at Iftari and half of pre-Ramadan evening dose given at Sahri. Now, for example, if patient was taking 70-30 insulin, 30 units in the morning and 20 units at night, so during Ramadan, he will take morning dose of 30 units with Iftari and half of evening dose, that means 10 units instead of 20, he will take at Sahri. So that way he can fast safely without the risk of hypoglycemia. Now, there are some individuals who are at much higher risk of hypoglycemia, like patients with advanced kidney disease, with liver disease, and patients with heart failure. They should be explained the undue risk, and they should, I think, be explained that it is best if they do not fast from their health point of view. So that is it. I hope this short video will serve the purpose, and if you're interested in details, I am leaving behind the link to my detailed video on the same topic. Thank you very much. This has been Professor Aziz Rehman for Medurstand-Understanding Medicine.